Well, hello there. Jessica Colta here, the CEO and founder of Ace Cookie Tutoring. Today I want to talk to you about the different states of matter. So we're going to talk about solid, liquid, gas, and plasma. I'm going to tell you how to identify each of those as well as some of their properties. So we're going to be having some fun today, and we're going to use the analogy of a campfire and making some s'mores. So I hope you're ready to learn a whole bunch of science, no matter if you're an elementary school student, middle schooler, or older. So I hope you're ready to learn all about the states of matter. So the four states of matter, we just talked about them very briefly. We have solid, liquid, gas, and plasma. So we talked about the campfire analogy. So that is probably not something as familiar to you as knowing a glass of water, that would be a liquid. And then ice cubes would be considered a solid, and then water vapor is going to be considered a gas. So plasma, yes, is a state of matter, but it's not one we're going to talk a lot about today. Okay, so let's talk some more about solids. So in our campfire analogy, our example of solid would include a log, and it would also include the marshmallows. So those are two examples of solids, and they are solids because they have a definite shape, mass, and volume. So that means if I wanted to try to put that log inside of something else, and if I was trying to put it inside of a box or something like that, I couldn't bend it, I couldn't mush it, it's going to stay rigid like a log. Now the marshmallow, this blob of marshmallows we've got here, like a bag of marshmallows, it's going to take up how much ever space it can. So I mean, yeah, I can squish them, and yeah, they might not be fluffy, yummy marshmallows, at least they won't look like that anymore, but they're still going to take the same amount of volume. So they're going to still take the same amount of space inside of a container. Now, we can look at a solid, so what we talked about earlier are ice cubes, and we know that it's a solid when we look at the particles or the molecules because they're really closely packed together. So those particles aren't going to be able to move around because of the fact they're so close together. So that's how we know this is a solid. Well, I hope you're enjoying the video so far. So if you would like to find out when the next video is coming out, or maybe what the monthly special is, or get some free resources, be sure to follow us on Facebook. Just go to that link on your screen, www.facebook.com/AceCookieTutoring, to follow us on Facebook and get all that great information in your newsfeed. Okay, so the next state of matter we need to talk about is the liquid stage. So on your screen here, we're going back to the example of the campfire. So we've got to start that fire somehow. So some people would do that with some kind of liquid, like on your screen, the fire starter. And then also, we need to realize that yes, the marshmallows are solid, but then when they start to melt, they become a liquid. They kind of become ooey gooey. And when we squish them between the chocolate and the graham cracker to make a s'more, they change shape. So a liquid is going to change its shape depending on the container. So when it's in a glass, like a water, it's going to be long and narrow or short or squat depending on the glass. Whereas here in a marshmallow, in the sandwich on the s'more, it gets kind of really skinny the more we squish it. So back to the liquid. We just talked about water. So remember, the shape of water is going to change depending on the glass or the cup or whatever we put it in. And the reason why the glass is affecting the shape of the water and why the marshmallow, when it melts, changes shape has to do with the particles. So you'll see here that the particles of a liquid are more spread out than they are in a solid. And these particles can actually move around. We hear about liquids flowing. Well, that means the particles are literally flowing around each other. So now that we know all about liquids and solids, let's go ahead and talk about gases. So our example that we're going to use for our campfire analogy is going to be the fire burning. So this is something we talked about at the very beginning of the presentation when we were using our campfire analogy. It's a little harder to picture because you don't really see the gases. You don't really see what all's coming out of the fire. Yeah, we see the sparks, but we don't know what the sparks are being created by or how. I mean, that's more detail than I want to go into today. I just want you to know that a fire burns and gases are released, and the gases that are released when a fire burns are going to include carbon dioxide, oxygen, water vapor, and nitrogen. Now, something important to realize about a gas is that gases have no definite shape or volume. So that means the fire is burning, things are being emitted into the atmosphere, but there's nothing stopping them. There's nothing that says, hey, you can't go up there, you can't go off this way unless we put some kind of cover over the fire. So that is a characteristic of gas. So if we look at the molecular structure of gases. So remember, this is our water vapor from what we talked about with the water and the ice and the liquid. So here our gas is water vapor. We see that the particles are really spread out. So basically what's happening is if we had a box here like we do on the screen, or if you had a closed container like a balloon, that's probably a really easy example to envision. The particles in there are just bouncing around like crazy. They're moving really, really fast because they're spaced out, and all that space and all that movement gives them a lot of energy. And they're going to go wherever until something stops them. Well, hey there, just wanted to stop and tell you something real quick before we move on to plasmas and then our little quiz. So, if you are looking for some more tutorials, if you're liking this one and you're looking for some more science tutorials, awesome. Just check out the link on your screen, acecookie-tutoring.com/tutorial. Or maybe you really need some help with a math homework assignment tomorrow or a couple weeks from now, you really are stumped on your English paper. Be sure to check out this link, and you'll see all sorts of great free tutorials here on our website as well as on YouTube. And if you're ever looking for a tutorial about a particular subject, just send us an email or send us a form through our website. We'd be happy to help you with whatever homework you have and create whatever tutorial might help you on your next assignment. Okay, so depending on what grade level you're in or what grade your student is in, you might or might not have heard of plasmas. So plasmas are a state of matter, but most people, when you ask them what the three state of matter are, they won't say anything about plasma. But just so you know, stars are considered plasma, and also plasma is a little similar to gas if you look at this molecular structure. Everything's really spread out and there's lots of energy, but the difference here, and hopefully you notice those little plus signs there, that means they're highly charged. So we're not going to get into details again, but in a future video, or if you have any questions, we'll talk all about protons, electrons, ions, all that good stuff. So just want you to know plasmas do exist, and they are technically a state of matter, but they're not one of the main ones. All right, so before we are done, just want to do one little quick quiz. Make sure you guys were paying attention and we figured out how to identify solids, liquids, and gases. So here's a quick little quiz for you. We've got an RV or camper, whatever you want to call it. We've got a bottle of soap, and we have a burner. So, looking at those three pictures, can you guess which one is which? All right, are you ready? The RV is a solid, the soap is liquid, and then the burner is a gas burner. So I made that one pretty easy. So hopefully you got those ones right. If you didn't, you might want to go back and review the slides to make sure you understand with our campfire analogy as well as the water example we talked about. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you learned a lot and you found it really helpful when it came to those 3 states of matter. If you find yourself with any other questions, or maybe you want to go ahead and book a one-on-one lesson, either in person or through Zoom, just go to that link, acecookie-tutoring.com/book online. Or if you're looking for some paid resources, so I'm going to go ahead and make some fun activities and worksheets to go along with this video. You'll find those at acecookie-tutoring.com/shop. And finally, if you are maybe not a Facebook person, or you want to go ahead and get our monthly newsletter directly in your inbox, just join our email list by sending an email to acecookie-tutoring@gmail.com. Well, thank you so much, guys. We'll see you in the next video.